Friends, I'm going to today discuss on a leadership competency which is a critical one, a non-negotiable, emotional self-awareness. Two questions may spring to your mind. The first one is, what is emotional self-awareness? Next, what makes it so important? We will talk about both of them. The first one is, when people know their emotions, they can understand and name their emotions, they seem to have much better emotional self-awareness. And if they can know the stimuli that causes that emotion, the belief that causes that emotion, then they have much better emotional self-awareness. For example, if I know that this person irritates me not because of what he has done but how he dresses, then my subliminal or my bias about a particular kind of dress can be the cause of my irritation. I know my emotion and I know the reason behind that emotion. So that's basically good emotional self-awareness. People who do not understand their emotions act impulsively. For example, when I am irritated and behave brusquely, say something rude, I am being impulsive. But the moment I realize that I have an emotion called irritation in me, I observe my irritation and manage it, then I am much better off. I do intentional acts, that is, maybe I will not say something rude, I may say something which is more friendly by nature. So leaders who do not know their emotions also have another problem. Research proves that such people actually can be a bad predictor of the team climate, that is, the team climate of the teams that they lead are poor and the results, business results, are impacted adversely. So it has economic consequences, it has social consequences, and it can have personal consequences. That is why emotional self-awareness matters. Out there, thousands of years back when we were in the jungles, a physical threat could lead to extermination. For example, if a tiger was rushing towards us, it made sense for us to perceive that threat very quickly and act immediately. So the emotional brain learned to do that. It would not use calculus, because your thinking brain could use calculus or the laws of motion to find out what is the time and that the tiger would take to close the distance between you and the tiger, and whether it was in a friendly mood or in a bad mood, and then take action. But you don't have that luxury. So the emotional brain learned to name a threat from past experiences, stories that they heard, or cultural elements, and quickly took action to survive. But today, in the world of business, such threats like a tiger or a cobra or a python in the office room or at your home are a rarity, if not nil. Almost. It doesn't exist. But there are psychological threats, and the brain acts the same as in a physical threat as it would in a psychological threat. For example, a snide remark by a neighbor, a colleague, a rude comment by your boss, a challenging tone by a vendor, a subordinate saying something nasty about you can get your goat. You can get irritated, and the same brain system which helped you survive in the wild now comes into action and tells you to get into fight or flight mode. Neurochemicals are released from your emotional brain, the amygdala part, which activates certain other parts called the hypothalamus, and thereafter your adrenal glands, and you have cortisol, that is, you can now fight better, adrenaline, you can fight or run away faster. Now, the problem with this is, at this point of time, since survival is more important and emotions drive you, your thinking brain becomes inactive. So you don't really think when, as I said, a tiger is rushing towards you or a car is about to hit you. But if somebody makes an intentional challenging remark, say for example a vendor, to get you off onto the back foot, if you stop thinking and react in an impulsive manner, you and your organization may lose out. You can actually jeopardize your promotional chances, right? So or in the family, you can corrode relationships. So one of the ways that we are going to learn is to handle it is just to name that emotion. If you can name that emotion, you can tame that emotion. The wonder that actually happens in your brain is the moment you name that emotion, the prefrontal cortex, which is your thinking brain, in the front part of your brain, it gets activated. There's much more activity in that. And in the amygdala, which is the emotional centers on both sides of the brain, the activity reduces. So your emotional brain now calms down and your thinking brain looks at the problem head on. So in fact, to use your intelligence, you need to get out of that emotional seas. You may have high IQ, but if you are going to get irritated, you may actually lose out in the. So you need to think out, and that can happen easily because the moment you can name your emotion, the intensity of the emotion comes down significantly in both your amygdala. Your emotional centers become calm and your thinking brain starts working. So that is why affect leveling, naming your emotions, emotional leveling is so important. If you want a quick dictionary, write to me on the email given in the description. I will send you a quick dictionary which is handy for naming the emotions to you.